Hey, so today I have been waiting so long to make this video because it's one of the topics where if I was having anxiety or having, I don't believe in bad days, but just like out of sorts, I would go on YouTube and look for this video that I'm about to make because I don't know about you, but I love hearing about creatives and their stories, whether it's musicians, writers, artists, what have you, dancers. I just love hearing their stories and their lives and their personalities and thoughts, beliefs, ideas, all the things. So, quick story time. I had a layover in Amsterdam about 2 or 3 years ago, and I wanted to go to the MoCo, the Modern and Contemporary Museum. And I didn't get a ticket ahead of time. So I wasn't able to go. It filled up, whatever. But I kept thinking about this for years. Like the last few years, I'm like, dang, I really wish I would have made it to that museum. And I had no idea why. Like, I love museums, but it's never been like a dire need to go somewhere. And when you just feel called to do something? I don't know. It didn't make sense at the time. But recently, my bestie and I went back to Amsterdam. And I'm like, oh, I don't like repeating places, but we had to go to Amsterdam. And we bought tickets. I was like, okay, there's one place we have to go to. I can't explain why. And we got there in the museum. We started the first floor or the top floor, whatever, working our way through. And I get to the room with Basquiat. And before I even stepped foot in that room, I just knew. I had a feeling, you just can feel something's on the other side of that threshold. And I walked through the door and he had, I think, just four pieces in this little room. And I immediately felt this incredible human, like his presence was just everywhere in that room, every square inch. And I immediately started sobbing because I'm emotional, but I could feel him there. I don't even know how else to describe it. Like he was in that room with me having this moment. And it was just like I don't want to call it, I definitely already had my artistic awakening, but it was like this awakening in self-expression and just being so authentically himself. Like he was so tapped in to his soul and it just like flowed through him. It couldn't help itself. Like he is by far one of my favorite artists, and people that see his art, he did abstract. I'll show some examples, but people that see his art, sometimes they don't understand it. But it's like, again, once you know the story and like hearing his voice in interviews, you can just feel it, like his presence coming through, even though he's on the other side right now. It's timeless. It's timeless. And that's one of my favorite things about artwork is as human beings, we're kind of racing against time or like this impermanence, like everything's so fleeting. But art is how we combat that or how, our rebellion against it. And so I view these videos, I view my journals, I view art, any form of self expression that you do as little time capsules and that quiet rebellion against time. I love time. We're not at war with time, but that impermanence. So today, I want to talk about the things, experiences, ideas, people that have shaped and are continuing to shape my style as an artist. Because, again, like I said, I'm a beginner artist. I didn't start taking this seriously until about 2 years ago. And one of the pressures, the unnecessary pressure I had placed on myself was, oh, I have to find a style. I have to have a unique, distinctive thing that only I can do. And I was trying to figure it out. Do I do charcoal? Do I do painting? Do I do sculpture? Do I finger paint? I don't know. Trying to figure out what my thing was. So this video today is going to be giving you just, exercise, putting your brain through some paces about potential things that could be subtly influencing your style. And then to also reinforce the concept that, again, similar to my mantra about, it's the journey, not the destination. Your style is created, it's a accumulation of all that is you, and you're not done yet. You're not done yet. So it's an ever evolving concept, your artistic style, in my opinion. And so today, my first big influence that shaped my visual language or my artistic style that's still evolving are obviously other artists. And you've probably heard, like I've mentioned in other videos, the concept of, great artists like copy, steal, what have you. And obviously, you don't want to be straight up copying, but there's definitely influence that you have because just like how you eat food in your everyday diet, your brain's doing the same thing. So, whatever art you're consuming, in whatever media that is or medium that is, that's going into your brain. You're feeding your brain that, and it's, stewing and you're steeping in your subconscious mind all these images and visuals and feelings and emotions. So, with that being said, the obvious artist, one of the top ones that have influenced me, is Jean-Michel Basquiat. And again, he's just raw authenticity. He's very into the archetypal language that I love. And again, like, if you know, you know, like the symbols, he's just layered in the subconscious language that is universal, regardless if you decide to tap into that or not. And he's very meaningful to me because, again, as a beginner artist, I struggled with my confidence in the beginning. Am I even good? Is this even worth pursuing? Like, all those like typical imposter syndrome questions. And I got the idea to apply to galleries. I'm like, well, let's see if I'm good enough to get in a gallery. So I applied to ones I think are local in Boston, and I accidentally, there are no accidents, apply to a gallery in Seattle. And I realized my mistake and I emailed them right away. I'm so sorry. I thought you were in Boston. I want to remove my application. So glad they didn't get my email because I put 6 pieces of art into my application. I got one accepted. And it was my portrait of Jean Michel Basquiat. And this wasn't an ego boost for me, it was a confirmation that, again, these artists that influence your style and your journey and your perception of your art, they're always with us. Like, again, I'm a spiritual girly. You're never alone. And especially when you're tapped into the creative realm, the veil to the other side is very thin for me, in my opinion, especially when you're tapped in to your creativity, like I mentioned in my video with the flow state. So getting this piece into the gallery wasn't about my ego or helping my confidence. It was a confirmation from the other side that these artists are still with us. You're standing on the shoulders of giants, okay? You're not doing this work alone. You're not creating your art alone. So Jean-Michel Basquiat is definitely up there for me. Along the same lines of the abstract, I love my female surrealists. Again, not to make it all about women, but the female surrealists just have this rebellious, quirky, eccentric, fun quality that I really appreciate because as you go through art history, I'll link it in the description. I have a favorite art history course on it's some website. I'll link it in the description, but you can see going through history, men have had more opportunities just with how society was structured to do the apprenticeships and find the mentorship, and they were just had more opportunities. And so it's not that women weren't creating art or weren't good artists, what have you. It's just the unfortunate, like where they were in society at that time. So when I found out about the female surrealists, I got very excited because, it's just that like the new frontier. And I obviously love the subconscious. And so one of my top ones is Remedios Varo. And she's just a mystical, magical girly. but I love she really created her own world. And her artwork almost feels like a dream, and dreams are very important to me. So Remedios Varo definitely had a really tremendous impact on me. And again, I got a confirmation when I was at an open studio in whatever city you're in. You should definitely look up if there's open art studios to go visit because it's a really inspirational experience. But I went, and the first artist I talked to, I was looking at his work and I was like, this is amazing. How did you think to do all this? And he goes, well, I have this book and it's the one by Remedios Varo. And I said to him, not to be weird, but I have that exact same book on my nightstand. I've been like scouring it every single night. So again, I just think that these artists are always with us and encouraging you on your journey. So, along the same vein, I love Leonora Carrington. She's another surrealist, and I love hearing her story because she had a lot of psychological build up to her style and a lot of like processing her childhood and the symbols and themes that were recurring. So I think she's a really fascinating artist to study, and just like her transformation from another common theme with artists, like all the restriction. Same with Marina Abramovich, the performance artist. They had a lot of restriction early on in life, which sounded awful. Like some of their stories are just, really heartbreaking. But again, with the contrast and that pendulum effect of life, is all that restriction, I think, pushed them into this open, expansive, cutting edge, pushing the boundaries of creativity and their artistic style. So she's another fun one to look into as well. Last but certainly not least is my girl Frida Kahlo. And anyone that knows me, I won't shut up about Frida Kahlo. She's been in my videos before. I love, 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 love her. And my quick little connection to her, I was on my first ayahuasca retreat in Palm Springs. And I was out and we're in the middle of nowhere, middle of the desert. The whole Milky Way galaxy is popping. There's a full moon. You can still see every constellation in the sky. And I go outside and right at, in the beginning of it, and there's beds in the middle of this desert. And there's a four-poster, like those canopy type of like old style beds. And I had a vision of her artwork that was just like that. And I sat on the bed under the stars, under the full moon. And again, I swear she was sitting right next to me. And that connection and the transcendence across time, regardless if they're here physically with us or not, I think is just one of the coolest experiences I've had as an artist. And, carrying that torch of creativity um, and expanding human consciousness, I just think is one of the coolest things ever. So, those are my top four. I could go on, but I will move on to my next point. So, artists are a big one. The second one is pretty obvious, but your physical reality, like I mentioned, with like the diet and food that you put into your body, the physical reality and things that you consume with your mind and put into your subconscious. Your mind is a garden, and whatever you're growing in that garden is important with your style. So, for me, some of my top ones are I obviously love my tattoos. They may be controversial. My mom hates them, but tattoos, I think, tell a story. They have those symbols. They're just so beautiful. It's art on your body. And so tattoos, and I'll get a lot of messages. Again, I work in the airlines, so on the plane, I'll have synchronicities or just I'll see, you know, artwork every day in the form of people's tattoos, and I really appreciate that. Travel obviously has been a big one for me after solo backpacking for 6 months, and getting to travel the world with my closest friends has really expanded my horizons in many ways. And it helps not only like, meeting the different people and seeing the cultures, but even with the different settings and the architecture, just like little things that you might not pick up on consciously, but are there in your subconscious mind, I think will eventually make themselves known in your artwork as well. So travel is definitely up there. And along with that, just different environments, having different life experiences. You never know where your next inspo is going to come from. And grounding this into reality, I obviously spoke about journaling, but scrapbooking has been also very instrumental in helping shape my style because you, again, it's like similar, it's a form of art. You get to choose what type of collage or how, your graphic design layout of your scrapbook is going to look and what's important to you as you memorialize those life experiences. So, highly encourage the scrapbooking. I'll post some examples of mine, but my roommates and I got really into it last year, and it was just such a fun way. I was off social media at the time, so it was such a fun way to create over consuming, and have that tangible, finished creative product to reflect on after these really fun life experiences. So, physical reality. And then the next one, I always talk about the duality of things. So the third big factor is the mystical and the inner reality, which I am encouraging everybody to focus more attention on because I think in our society we get so caught up with the external that that rich inner world can be neglected sometimes. And some main sources of inspiration for this can be dreams, and I have, people will say to me, I never remember my dreams. How do you remember your dreams all the time? And again, it's that Pixar lamp of focusing your energy and attention. Like, what are you focusing on? So, to help with this, again, I made a dream journal, and it's one of my most prized possessions because it's kind of a combo of journaling and scrapbooking, but with my dreams specifically as the intention. So, I journal. I'll either, you can draw pictures to go along with it, watercolor, free printing at your local library. If I have very specific images, I'll go print some of those visuals out. And then I just journal as much as I can remember. And it's interesting reflecting back. I printed out all my dreams. I'm a psycho, I know. I'm obsessed with dreams. I printed them all out, and it's really interesting to reflect back on those important recurring themes that continue throughout. And yeah, I just think there's been many artists that's the main source of their content is their dreams. So, and that's uniquely you. I mean, there's the collective unconscious, but some of those, that's all you, baby. That's coming from your inner world. So, dreams are really good language to deep dive. And then I've talked a little bit, but I've had some pretty profound spiritual experiences, which were one of the motivating factors to pursue art. Because, like I've said before, language, our English language, whatever language you speak, is a limited container. And, there's those subtle layers, the emotions, the reading between the lines that can be lost in just regular written form or talking, just normal. So, spiritual experiences can be a good source. And along with that, are those archetypes, like I talked about, like the hero's journey, mythology. I can list some important archetypes too that, like Carl Jung and different psychoanalysts have mentioned. And with that, like I said before in one of my previous videos, it's channeling, just sitting with yourself. And whether it's automatic writing, scribbling, doodling, what have you, just letting your unconscious, those thoughts that are, lying deep, deep beneath the surface in yourself, emerge in a form that might not be logical. You don't need to be writing in these full, complete sentences or things that make sense, even. Sometimes I write stuff down. I'm like, are you sure this is the message that wants to come through? So channeling can be a big one as well. And then the last factor is, again, kind of an obvious one, but I think with intention, you can expand it and work it out like a muscle, like going to the gym, and that's your imagination. So there's certain things where I will go with the intention. I am focusing on my imagination, my la la land, delulu part of myself that I love so much. And this can come in many different forms. For me, I've found fantasy novels are a big, big, big part of that for me. They've really expanded, that movie that you have in your head. Um, it's just really helped me focus on working that muscle more. and visualizing those things within my own mind's eye. So, fantasy novels, books in general, I get a lot of inspo sometimes from shows and movies, especially because they'll have those archetypal themes, the storytelling, the characters, the visuals. Uh, Very obvious. Well, maybe not obvious, but one that I've been high key, low key, hyper fixating on is Pirates of the Caribbean. And I don't know if you've caught this or not, but my mermaid siren girl archetype is the actress from that movie. I think her name's Astrid. I forgot her last name, but she is just so captivating to me, and she's literally been one of my muses. So inspiration can come from pretty much anywhere. I also like to go to ballets, Broadway shows, what have you. And then mythologies. So I have my favorite oracle deck, and it's the Greek mythology. The artist is Helena. I'll have to put her full name on there in the link, but it's one of my favorite oracle decks because it's created by a visual artist and it goes through all the Greek mythology. So I'm learning about Greek mythology, I'm learning about the archetypes in the oracle deck, and I'm getting insights on myself. So it's just like all these, avenues that really expand and help my imagination grow. And all that to say, my main point is that your style is not created in an instant or it's not a final destination. It's an ever and evolving journey and path to remembering yourself. So it's your identity made visible. And that to me is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself because there will never be another version of you in any reality, in any universe that's exactly like the one you get to experience right now in this lifetime. So I just feel like that's so vitally important to explore all aspects of yourself. And if you can find a creative outlet to help make all of that visible, it's just one of the most beautiful gifts you can give yourself. So I highly encourage that. And if you're chasing style or putting pressure on yourself to find your style, please don't take it from me. You don't need that unnecessary pressure, and it will reveal itself in time. And for me, I just had to slowly but surely continue to remove those filters and just allow my life experience and myself to pour through in the most authentic way. And she's still revealing it, but there's no rush. There's no rush in this process. And to help you out, if you are struggling to, ground some of these like lofty concepts that I've been spewing at you, I have a free style mapping worksheet that I'll link in the description. And if you have time to just sit with yourself, I'll have some prompts and things that'll help you sort this out within yourself as well. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next one.